Well, thank you for watching 5 News This Morning Plus, streaming live on the 5 News Plus Smart TV app. I'm Emily Moss.
And I'm Tiffany Lee. Let's dive into today's biggest stories. This morning, President Trump's deadline for Russia to end the war in Ukraine has arrived. We'll break down what this means for the ongoing war.
Plus, as the new school year approaches, 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi will be live with important safety reminders for drivers and parents navigating busy school zones.
But first, let's go ahead and send it over to Danny with a check of that forecast. We've got people starting school today, Danny. Other people, it's that last official day of summer, so people are hoping for some good weather out there.
Yeah. I wish I had better news to report.
That didn't sound good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's going to be, super stormy. It's just going to be hot. It's going to be muggy. And yeah, I know that's typical of summer, but even more so, we're cranking up to another degree or two. Here's a live look outside. As you walk out the door this morning, you're going to feel that mugginess. You can see temperatures area-wide in the 70s. Yesterday, it was in the 60s, but since the humidity's a little bit higher, again, that temperature can't dip below the dew point. If dew points are in the low 70s, then the temperature has to at least be in the low 70s. But we're seeing some gorgeous sunrises here. We'll take a live look here in Springdale. You can see a little bit more of that orange on the horizon. Again, that wildfire smoke that's staying elevated, thankfully, is providing more of that orange and purplish hue that you're seeing, as well as on those sunsets. Here's another live look in Poto, excuse me. Let's click on Fort Smith. We'll show you Fort Smith here. You can see, again, more of those oranges and maybe the kind of those purples on the west side there, or east side, I should say, because the sunrise in the east sets in the west. Again, you're seeing that orange out there, and that'll continue, I think, at least for the next couple of days, just because that wildfire smoke's not going away. The biggest story, as I mentioned, is going to be the heat advisory in effect for basically the entire area. Again, the reason why we don't have the counties that aren't under it is due to terrain, but it's still going to be very hot no matter where you are in the area. It could be as hot as 105 in northwest Arkansas and as hot as 110 in the River Valley. For northwest Arkansas, kind of hour by hour look, close to 100 by noon, already hitting 90 by 10. It's staying into the triple digits until 6, and then still in the low 90s by 8 o'clock when that sun sets. For the River Valley, going to hit probably 100 by maybe 11 a.m., maybe even a little bit earlier than that, and peaking at around 108, 109. It's still staying in the triple digits even just before sunset. If you're looking forward to the weekend, you're like, all right, can we get some relief there? Well, today is going to be very similar to tomorrow, if not basically the same forecast, up to 105 for northwest Arkansas. Does cool down a little bit for Sunday, not by much, but we'll see a gradual decrease of the heat as we head into next week, and maybe a very small rain chance. We'll talk all about this heat, this humidity, as well as a little bit more of that wildfire smoke coming up in your full forecast. For now, we'll take a live look at traffic on this Friday. I almost said Monday morning. Friday morning. Here's a live look along I-49 and Monroe Avenue. I think with how tired we were, that would be tragic if it was Monday. Traffic moving smoothly so far on this Friday. Again, just be safe out there in the heat and the humidity. We'll talk more about it in just a little bit. Tiffany and Emily.
Thanks for that, Danny. Well, after marking 200 days in office, President Trump says that his push to end the war between Russia and Ukraine is making progress, but not enough.
The president has given Moscow an ultimatum: reach a ceasefire by today or face sanctions. CBS News has more.
The White House says it expects to move forward on punishing secondary sanctions for countries that buy Russian oil after the Kremlin failed to reach a ceasefire deal with Ukraine by President Trump's Friday deadline.
I'm very disappointed, yeah.
Yesterday, President Trump told reporters it's all on Russian President Vladimir Putin.
We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him.
Already, the White House announced an additional 25% tariff on India for doing business with Russia. Still, the president says he's open to meeting with Putin after the Russian leader suggested the two could come face to face as soon as next week, possibly in the Middle East.
They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing.
Earlier this week, the president's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, held what he called highly productive meetings with Putin in Moscow. The White House says no details have been finalized for a possible sit-down between the two leaders, though the president says a meeting would not hinge on Putin meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Putin says conditions for talks with Zelensky are still far off. Zelensky cautions that Ukraine and Europe must have a voice in the negotiations. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Well, this morning, Israel's Security Cabinet approved a plan for the IDF to expand the battle against Hamas by taking control of Gaza City, while also providing humanitarian aid outside of combat zones. The office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a statement saying the cabinet adopted principles aimed at ending the war. It includes disarming Hamas, returning all hostages to Israel, and installing a civilian government other than Hamas or the Palestinian Authority.
Well, the back-to-school season brings excitement and routine for families across the region, but it also means a return of certain safety risks on the roads and in our communities.
5 News reporter Jacob Luthi joins us live from Rogers with what public safety officials say parents, drivers, and students need to keep in mind. Jacob?
Yeah, good morning, Emily. Good morning, Tiffany. Look, right now we're here in Rogers and school starts here next Wednesday, and it's pretty quiet right now, but as you can imagine, next Wednesday, 7:30, 8:30 in the morning, right? You're going to have some parents, some students rushing to try to make it on time, and maybe they forgot some of the rules that are associated with school zones and buses, and that's why public safety officials just want to remind people, take that extra time to get to school. And this is what they also had to say about this. They said that traffic jams and accidents tend to spike, according to Lieutenant Shannon Jenkins with the Benton County Sheriff's Office, as the school year begins. She also urges drivers to slow down, allow extra time, and especially be cautious during the first week. She says, remember, school zones have a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit when children are present. Expect increased patrols enforcing speed limits, crosswalks, and school bus laws. She adds that when a school bus stops with flashing lights, traffic in both directions must stop. It's the law.
Children are children, and they don't always pay attention, so it's really up to us to pay attention to these children and what's around them. But yes, it's the law. The law says stop when there's active lights for the bus or a stop sign, and that's what we expect everybody to do.
Also, there's going to be a lot of students riding their bikes, walking to school. Jenkins says she wants to remind parents, just have conversations with them about the importance of staying in groups, also making sure that they're not talking to strangers, and if someone approaches them, to make sure that they go and find a trusted adult. All these things to make sure that both students and parents have a very safe and exciting back to school time. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Thanks for that, Jacob. Some great tips this morning. Well, thousands of students arriving in Fayetteville as the U of A welcomes what's expected to be its largest freshman class ever. With a growing student body and a first-year residency requirement, the university is continuing to adapt its housing strategy. Around 1,700 students were expected to move in this week. The university is accommodating these numbers with its 20 residence halls, but they are also contracting several neighboring apartment complexes to use for student housing. This comes as Fayetteville City Council says the city needs about 1,000 new housing units each year just to keep up with the growing population. To address future housing needs, the university is already looking ahead to new construction.
It's about 740 beds. It's going to be right behind Maple Hill South. There's a hill there that we're developing, and you can already go see that we're kind of putting boundaries around it, so you can see where we're going to be building, and we're excited to bring that online in fall 2028 is the date that we think we're going to be able to make that happen.
The university student body saw a growth of almost 17% between 2019 and 2023. Right now, about 80% of students seek off-campus housing.
And let's get a quick look at the start dates for some of the area's largest school districts. Springdale will start on Monday, Fayetteville and Bentonville both start on Tuesday, and Rogers and Fort Smith will start on Wednesday. With school starting back this week, we here at 5 News wants to celebrate the moment by showing off your kid's first day picture. Text those photos to the number on your screen for a chance to have the photo on the newscast next week, and we'd also love to see those teachers going back to school too.